met him through Twitter, and he asked, "Does anybody want to come work Lost Lands?" And I was just like, "Oh my God, that is a dream come true!" Like, I initially started making music as Bananas, and then Schlippen came because of the pandemic, and I was trying to find new avenues to express myself, because one of the things with like dubstep is the live performance aspect is pretty heavy in that. But uh, Lost Lands is basically like the biggest dubstep festival too, and so I was like, oh my god, be, I get to get paid to go work a dream. This is incredible. And then I have examples. I should probably share them on my Bananas Twitter page, but I I smacked myself in the face with my phone in a mosh pit during one of Shaq's like DJ Diesel sets, and I started bleeding. And then on that banana suit, there's blood on it now. So I'm like, oh, that is a memory that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would have framed the banana suit after that one.
Well, I have another one that actually. You know what? I'll post a picture real quick to illustrate the amount of signatures I have. I have this banana suit that I would take to every show. This thing's filthy, by the way, but it has like all of these signatures of people on it, like uh, yeah, Jansen, Conrig, Space Laces, Downlink, Liquid Stranger, like all these really big, prominent, like pretty big figures in like dubstep that like, man, it's just like, oh wait, yep, I have a better picture of it. I'll share that in just a second, but yeah, that one,
You know,
I'm totally gonna frame that one for sure.
like you mentioning about like your filthy banana suit from all the parties and performances and stuff. It literally reminded me of there was a point in my time where I would show up to raves, any rave, any concert, whatever it is, in a penguin suit. I would just party in that penguin suit. I swear to God, I probably had blood on it as well at one point.
It's a thing where like I really love being like a character at those places, because it is just like at music festivals in particular, and this is why I love Twitter Spaces. I feel like I'm at a music festival on my phone, and the way I feel at a music festival in real life is just like we're all these different characters. Like I don't have to like know the super duper intimate experience, the joyous fun part of them. That's like in for the like entertainment, and like here for the fun most of the time. There are there's mental health Twitter Spaces and stuff like that too, which are necessary. And there's even things like that happening at music festivals. There's people doing yoga at like 8 in the morning, and I'm like, salute to you, man. I just went to bed an hour ago. So, but it's like the freeness and the openness that you like have in all these places, and then the fact that you can be a character all at the same time. Like my my profile picture, I certainly don't look like that. I think most people's profile pictures are, like a fun reflection of ourselves that we get to like, you know, potentially even make money off of, and then just be a part of history with art. It's just like it's an interesting experiment.
It really is. And I would like to introduce you to my co-host here. She is now here. Tank Poco, how are you today?
Hey everybody, hey Stan, how are you? Hey Schlippen, thanks for coming by.
It's nice to be here. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee now. I just remembered the name of the show. I was like, I had to make sure I had the cup ready. I'll see if I can
Thank
find a
you.
picture of that one too. I got my electronic coffee cup.
So
Wow,
Tank,
technology.
yes, I had so many questions about this electric coffee mug. How is it powered? Like uranium? Do you plug it into the wall or batteries?
So the best part about it is I can also charge my phone with the little pad, but they basically just put like a little mechanism in the bottom of the cup, and you can just set it on top of the warmer, and the warmer. It's just a charger. So I can charge my phone if I set it on there, or I can put my cup on there and warm up my coffee.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and you know what the craziest thing about all this is? I didn't even ask for this. My mom got it as a gift for like someone at her job, and she's like, "But I only drink like one cup of coffee a day, and I drink it rather quickly in the morning. Whereas I know you drink coffee all the time, and you're in your studio all the time, and it gets cold." And she knew that I would drink a cup of coffee like in a couple minutes because I was like, I just wanted to get it while it was hot, you know. And now I can like I'll say I left it on the burner too long earlier and had to scoop some like fat out because it would like ugh, it had coagulated on the bottom. But
How hot does it get?
there was like a thing that came with the packaging that said something about like the wattage per stuff. They were basically like if you're gonna heat up a cup of coffee, don't put your phone on it for like 20 minutes. And so I was
Oh,
like, all right, duly noted. It gets pretty hot, but
I
like,
think I knew somebody who used to like dry their weed on it if their weed was too wet.
damn, what a good problem to have though.
Nothing like fresh weed. Let let's see. Well, Tang, you kind of asked my next question about the mug. I've been so intrigued on it. Well, I guess it's a good time to start. Schlippen, thank you so much for being here for our music edition of our Sunday Coffee. Um, to start off, could you tell everyone in the crowd a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Um, my real name is actually Luke. If anybody wants to call me that, Schlippen can. Some people have some difficulty pronouncing the titles of my songs because all of them are first three letters are capitalized, and they all start with S, and then immediately proceed with an H, and then become whatever the word is thereafter. But I'm a musician. I'm a music producer. I've been making music for about 12 years now. The first sort of little bit of music I ever made that I could like remember specifically was I was in a broadcast journalism class when I was 16, and they had GarageBand, and our teacher was encouraging people to make an intro for the news. And I, this has always been a problem. People are like, we need kind of an upbeat thing, and then I end up making just like this really chill, just like yeah, just just chilling type of beat. And so that was what happened, and I didn't even think about it. I just put a couple loops together, and then everybody in the class was just like, they were somewhere else, and then they came and heard the beat, and they were like, "This is amazing!" And I was like, "It's like a drum loop and a violin loop, and they just kind of alternate. It's not very difficult." And everyone was like, "How did you do that?" And I was like, I don't know." And from that point, I was just kind of like very interested in like how something that I did so simply could leave people like enamored. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about electronic music specifically. I became a huge fan of like dubstep and tried producing it for a super long time at that point. And I really leaned in heavily to music production at a like pretty young age, like shortly thereafter when I made that beat, and then I think a couple months later, my parents decided to get a divorce. So it's like that sort of threw me for a loop, just because you're like, I don't know what's really happening anymore because of the circumstances surrounding my home life. And then sort of like everything I had done to like, it's not like I had the best childhood growing up. I don't think everybody's childhood is perfect, but I was doing things to tune out from real life before, and then the divorce started happening. And so I really needed something to like fully tune out, but also express myself simultaneously. So I couldn't play video games anymore. And the only thing that was really providing me with any source of like enjoyment and fulfillment was making music. Like I had made art before previously, but music was like pretty much the savior for me at that time. And so I just remember like going to school. I started wrestling and stuff. I've been an athlete my whole life, and those things felt good, but it was like a different type of good. It was like getting your brain to operate correctly. I think requires some exercise. It helps prevent your brain from shrinking. So it's definitely like the thing that also helped me not like fully lose control. And you know I was just making music as much as I could. It wasn't very good. I don't have any like real musical background training. I don't know how to play piano like some people do. I don't. I mean, I always wanted to play drums, but my parents were like, "You don't have a volume switch on those, so you can't really do that." And so music production was like my only option really, and it's pretty easy to make music on a laptop or a desktop once you like figure out how to use the instrument or your DAW. And from there, I just kept exploring. I went to college for 4 years and studied studio art, but it was the thing of like I had this like divide because of the way everything was set up to me at the time, and I couldn't just like break my own conceptions. I was thinking like, well, there's no way I can be like a visual artist and a musician at the same time, even though those things go hand in hand. It's like, and I, was studying art and learning all these things, but I wasn't able to really apply them to anything at the time because I was still, rough around the edges in enough ways. But, I went in my fourth year, I was basically told I was going to have to come back and go to college for a fifth year because I needed to take like library research skills and American Lit 2 and all these things that were not in the like curriculum of art. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And then at the same time, simultaneously, I had a song under a different alias from years ago like get like 25,000 plays organically, and I was like, all right, well, people are really responding to the music a lot more than my artwork, so I'm going to lean into that. And then I left school, and then I want to say maybe about a month or two later, I ended up tearing my ACL by jumping off a longboard that was going too fast. And then during that time, I just like, when I was bedridden, I was like, I'm going to make something on the computer every single day, different, like a new idea every single day, and just keep doing that for as long as I can. And I did that for about, I think, 600 days or so, because I had like 600 project files. I would literally just name them one, two, three, four, and just keep going and going until eventually I had to change computers because the technology just wasn't able to keep up with all the stuff I had downloaded. And then at that point, I had come up with Bananas because I witnessed there's a dubstep artist named Snails, and it also took a little something. It was a Halloween rave, and things started to really make sense. Let me tell you, and I like had this like revelation of like, oh, it's snails. It's all vomity and gross and this, that, and the other. And then like on the car ride home, I had this weird thought. I was like, there's people out there who believe that God is a flying spaghetti monster and they call themselves Pastafarians. And I was like, what a strange concept to exist. Like, bet you could convince people that God is a banana. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, you know what? Let me not be like some weird cultist leader. I'll just make my artist name Bananas, because then they'll make people know that this shit is bananas. And so I did that for like, another 4 years. Essentially, I basically went to college again out in the real world in a banana suit. So during that time, I had acquired a bunch of fans. I have a bunch of songs that I put out. I put out 26 songs, one every 2 weeks in 2020 under that alias. And I had opened for Sudden Death. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. He's another pretty big dubstep artist. I opened for him, and then like, a month later, lockdown, pandemic, everything changed. And so during that time, I started exploring all these. Like, I had been making hip hop beats originally for like the longest time because it's incredibly difficult to make dubstep, and it's only gotten easier as time has gone on, thankfully. But I went back to like making a lot of hip hop beats because I was working in a warehouse and in a factory basically for the past 3 years, which that was honestly like kind of like humbling and also somewhat depressing simultaneously. So the music I started to make was not like cheerful electronic, happy music. This shit wasn't bananas. It was sad, and I felt like I was slipping away. And then like that's where the idea of that name came from, was essentially like there's a different part of me that needs to express myself in a non like electronic prominent way. And so all of the songs I have out now as Schlippen are they're very reminiscent of what I would describe. It's like lo-fi, but everything isn't lo-fi, if that makes sense. They sound old and they have this character to them, whereas Bananas is really high polished and like trying to be as clear as possible, basically. And you know from the time that I started my Twitter account last November, and this is the only social media I've been doing anything on, I've made so many connections with people like Cam Murdoch, for just to name one person who runs Future Surf Radio. I've interacted, and I've almost took a course from Nifty Sacks, but I just didn't have the time or the money at the moment. But like low key, he was the one who basically he's reignited my passion for dubstep, and I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff as Bananas now because like I went to Lost Lands and just remembered why I loved dubstep so much. It was something that pulled me out of all of the sadness I had as a young man, and it didn't require drugs, but it was the thing that like the way the music made me feel, and then the way the music that I make now was like expressive of how I felt. I'm like, maybe that same feeling I get from that is somehow a way that I can make someone else feel. And being in Web3, it allows you to be so interconnected with everybody. And that was basically, where I decided to like, I figured out about NFTs from an Alex Becker video, and then saw like, wait a minute, you can just sell artwork for crypto. That's crazy. And then I looked more and more into it. I was like, you can just sell music for crypto. And then you can just like have people be fans of yours and support you in incredible ways if they were just like an early investor of insert blank crypto token here. It doesn't really matter. It's just like if you're early and then the value skyrockets, somebody can change your life from something they bought 2 months ago, and you can change their life from something that they bought from you 2 months ago, because then they can sell it to somebody else for a higher price and everything like that. And I was like, I don't really see a downside to this. I get to meet my fans, I get to hang out with them, they can help me direct my artwork and my music. And then it's also just like to know that there's people out there who even care about you. Like I was making music in this banana suit, but it was like if I took the suit off, people didn't recognize me, which I felt, you know, that was the weird part about it all. Is like I loved being like a character, but I also kind of wanted people to like, know the real me. And so the Schlippen thing came out as like, this is who I really am, even though now I'm still like using Djinn Poet PFPs and stuff like that. But still, it's like the you can actually hear my voice and talk to me. And like the thing now is like I'm getting ready to put out music in Schlippen that's going to actually have my voice on it. I have a pretty low speaking voice, so my singing voice is in that same sort of timbre, but like it's almost like a hum. But yeah, like the there's also another person that I just thought of that's helped me, that's inspired me to like do what I'm doing now, and that's Jaden Violet. He's probably one of the biggest inspirations, because I remember him just being like, I just quit my job because I'm able to support myself through selling crypto and people buying like my music NFTs. And I was just like, this is crazy. This is so crazy, and I love it. It's exciting to see people that are doing what they want to do end up making their dreams a reality, and not on some like, and then I met the executive of Warner in the elevator and gave him the best pitch ever, and then I was able to make How I Met Your Mother, or whatever, miraculous thing that might happen. Now it's like I met this guy in a Twitter space, and then I saw his tweet a couple days later, and then I worked Lost Lands, and then now I'm in another Twitter space where there's tons of other people who I'm sure that they would love to, maybe even have me perform, considering, that's, I'm pretty sure what's going to be happening tomorrow. So it's just like the amount of opportunities in all these places, and the amount of changes that I've experienced in the short amount of time of being here. It basically like supersedes all of the negative emotions that I have ever had like prior to these concepts. Like I didn't think people were going to care about my music, didn't think people were going to care about my artwork, and I didn't even think people were going to like me, because during that pandemic phase, I had to like do a lot of self-reflection and recognize there's parts about me that I don't like, and maybe I could like change myself a little bit to become somebody that I actually do like a lot more. And then, it seems like the self change, like the reflection of my inner self, I can now like, if I like myself enough, then I can like everybody else even more. I've always really liked other people, but it was like harder to do that when you have like something kind of weighing you down internally, which I could say, is relatable back to like my parents' divorce and the things previous. Like it's weird to like process trauma through a picture or a sound, but I think it's probably one of the most like healthy ways that I am able to, keep myself from doing, you know, if not neutral things, negative things. I have a song that I haven't released yet called "Sleep," and the chorus is basically me saying, "I make all of this to keep myself alive." You know, it's the thing that like drives how I feel, and these spaces and the people here that like any support, like a like, a retweet, anything like that, that is so helpful to somebody you don't realize it. It's the other thing too of like I've recognized how powerful I am and how powerful everybody is, even in like basic human interactions in real life. Like if you say hello to somebody and you have a smile on your face, that changes their day. It's weird, but it's true. It's like I used to like downplay a lot of things, and now I'm like, now that I can see how quickly things can change and how like amazing things can become for people, I'm just like I'm all in at this point. I would rather, I used to spend all my days in a warehouse, like around people who were just miserable. And so I started to become miserable too. And that maybe was reflected in the Schlippen thing, like the sounds that I picked to make my songs, because it was just not, you know, it was not bananas, man. It's definitely not having a good time.
uh, and I mean, oh man, thank you for sharing your story. Just like a quick question. So, at the crossroads of your career, like literally, like in your transition from bananas to Schlippen, how would you rate the transition? Would you say that your community was very accepting of the transition? Or did you feel like a little kind of like a pushback, kind of people asking like, "What's up? How come? What? Why the name change?"
Well, I'll say this: bananas is still a thing. I actually just made like a whole new like Twitter account for Schlippen because I kind of recognized I recognized the power of Twitter, and I was like, I've spread like I did what everybody did, years ago. Whenever I'd made bananas in like 2016, it was like you got to make a Snapchat, you got to have a Twitter, an Instagram, a Facebook. You had to check the dots to make sure everything was there, so nobody could make a fake thing and blah blah blah. Whereas now it's like everybody will just go, well, he only has this one thing, so that's not his Facebook page or whatever. And so I kind of just did it like silently. Like you know, I have all my music for bananas still up and available, and I tell people about it. I haven't really performed nearly as much, but the one thing that I have done is just like, spent a lot more time working on and thinking about the music, because when I did the 26 songs in the year, it's not that they were bad songs. It's that like I felt like I could have done more to the mix to make them a little bit more clean, but I was running short on time. But that all being said, I'm glad I did what I did, because the Schlippen thing is like bananas was like I had to be really active on Facebook for people to care, because in my area it's like Facebook events are like, that's how you get somebody to show up. That's how connected Facebook is to like real life stuff. Whereas Twitter, it's like it's connected to real life stuff, but in a different fashion. It's like there's not like an event page that you can make on Twitter and then invite people to. But now you can have essentially an event on Twitter with the Twitter Spaces. Whereas Facebook, it's like you can go live on Facebook, but like also Facebook is pretty like, you know, make sure you pay us and then you can get an audience. Whereas like Twitter, it's a lot more organic. And the other thing too is everybody here is pretty like, you know, pretty and inviting and inclusive. It's like if you want to join the Twitter space and come up here and talk, people are more than like willing to let that happen in a lot of spaces. Like, unless it's a specific interview space, or if it's, something that like an AMA on here is actually significantly better than something like an AMA on Reddit, because there's just like all the questions you have to, you know, let's say you're not the fastest reader or the fastest typer, or you're just like more orally, you're more orally capable than other people with like articulation and stuff, but you suck at typing. So it's like you might not be able to like get your thought out as as concisely if you were restricted to text. And now it's just like you can just come up here and say blah blah, blah, and people are like, yes, I agree, or I disagree, whatever the thing may be.
I
But
definitely have to say that, I mean, Twitter Spaces are a very, very important tool. Even with community building, I definitely can say, um, I, like as you can see, like I am a Decentralander. All our friends that you see down at the listeners panel, well, for the most part, are part of our Decentraland community, and they're all here. So, to meet you. And I will say like Twitter Space has been like a very, very good tool to kind of get everyone together and give everyone the platform to speak on any topics that they may feel like need to be spoken about. So I do share that sentiment with you. Um, so I did a little digging on your work, and I noticed this neat project you have going, Stars. Could you tell us a little bit about Stars?
yeah, Stars was actually, I think, my like first actual NFT. I think that might have been my Genesis NFT, but I haven't sold any of them yet. But and that's the thing, is I kind of wanted them to be. I kind of wanted it to be. You have to look for it. You have to look for a star. You know, you don't just kind of see it. You like it. It catches you. And so that's like the super fan NFT, and it's $100. But the thing is, it acts as a VIP NFT to any sort of events, and in real life or in the metaverse, which I haven't performed in real life yet, but the more I'm here, the more of an opportunity that becomes, and clearly. But the main thing is I will make a song for you, and you don't have to know how to make music. You don't have to know anything about it. My favorite thing, honestly, is basically, I've said this before. Move the cat. You might hear her meow. Oh,
Yes, that's what I needed this morning.
oh my God, you're adorable. Okay, I will stay next to you. I can't. She has to touch you if she's gonna sleep. But I was like, my thighs getting all hot. This cat is warm. She's a little hot potato. Uh, what was I just talking about a second ago?
Stars, how
I will
the
make you a
utility.
song. Yes, I can. Okay, I will make you a song, and you don't have to have any like. It can be as loose lipped as you want it, or as like tightly gripped as you need it to be. Like you could be like, I'm a rapper and I need a beat to sound like this, or you're like, I just want to buy this and give it to my loved one as a like romantic gift. You could buy it as a thing to, you're essentially commissioning a song. And it's like I've not seen anybody do that before in real life or in the metaverse or in any sort of like Web3 space. And I thought that would be interesting to like allow people to. You can always buy artwork from people, but I've never really seen people buy songs from someone. And you could. There are. I'll say there are some limitations. I can't really make you like a 60-minute song that like spans the genre to genre. I need you to put every single genre in one song. I can't do that. But what I can do is make you a song that will be as close to the expression of what you're looking for as I can get for you. Or you can just say, make a song about sadness, and then I will, the other thing too is I planned on filming all this so you can see the process. You can see like how I'm doing it technically, and how I'm like coming up with it just, as it goes. I'm not sure if I'm able to like live stream and produce music, just because my CPU starts to like poop out a little bit, and then I have to, the stream itself might just crash because my CPU is just like, no. I'm like, all right.
So, with that being said, how long what would be the limit on length for the song that you would make for anyone that purchased your Volt key, your stars, and also what would be the options in genre?
I have like a very wide array of like songs that I've produced. So it could be anywhere from like metal to any sort of electronic music you can think of. Um, Even if you have like, I want you to like make a song that sounds like, Bon Jovi or something like that. It's like the point of the stars thing is or stars is to give somebody something that they want while also, here's the other thing too, is if you want to, we can upload the song to streaming platforms and you'll be credited as a 50% creator in the royalties, because I wouldn't have made the song had you not provided the ideas or like the curriculum essentially to like build this song around. That being said, I would say, I wouldn't want to make a song that's longer than like 6 minutes, but you know I don't think that that's very difficult to you know do. And then you can make a song that's, I mean, I guess that also depends on maybe the platform you upload the content through. You can make a song that's as short as 30 seconds. You know, I need you to make a song for my new TikTok that I'm going to make. It really doesn't, whatever you need.
Nice, I love it. And could you explain what schloops are?
Oh, my schloops. Those, I actually have taken those down, but okay. This cat is now on my neck. Um, I took those down from the Kitsy Marketplace just because I wasn't able to keep up with the rent cost for those. But I have another NFT called Spirals, and what those do is they give you access to the Schloops. They're about five soul right now, but the thing is, the Schloops like collection is just an ever expanding like library of loops that I'm making that have the particular flavor. I can actually, oh, child, relax. I'm gonna I'll play a few of them, and the cool thing about them is I have them labeled with. They're all samples that you can use in your DAWs. So, oh, come on now. So they're separated by BPM and key, and then they're also separated into the pieces that make them up. So let me. Oh, my speaker's not making sound right now. That's why. But I think this one is my one of my favorites. Yeah. Turn this up. So you can take that, and then there's the separated pieces that make up that sample. So you could build an entire song and then add your drums, vocals, whatever you want to that song. And you can even take all these and chop them up because, like I said, they're separated by key and BPM. So you can adjust everything according to your taste. So, like, to break down that sample, you get, the bass line. Then you get your nice little guitar swells. And then that main primary sample, the like little spacey synth is what I've named it. And so that's just one sample, and I have about 5 volumes of that made, and then I also have the Spirals Collector Edition, which samples some that like this one. I mean, this one right here. Tell me this doesn't take you to space. Ooh. Why are you biting me? That was
That was
unexpected.
amazing. I really love to hear the breakdown when people actually show me layer by layer how a sample is created. So thank you for sharing that. I like it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is like when like I'm still trying to figure out the best method of delivery because not too many people have purchased. No one's purchased a spiral and no one's purchased a star yet. But I'll also say during the time I made those, I was working like 40 plus hours a week in that warehouse, and I was not that happy. So I didn't feel like telling anybody about it when I got home from work. I just felt like sitting there and going to sleep. Generally, was the thing. But yeah, it's like I tried to make these so it's like somebody who doesn't really know all that much about music production can still be inspired by the sample and then make a song from it and then program their own drums. But that being said, too, one of the I have another thing that I'm developing called schlaps, and that's just like all the drum loops that I have that are stuff like that that you can take those and chop them up and make them into your own drum loop, or you can just take that and then start working from that. It's uh it's just something that I like to do. I like to I like to give people things that I've used to make music and then see what they come up with because no one's ever going to make the same thing twice. You might make something that has like a similar rhythm, but and maybe even the same BPM and even the same key, but it's
One thing
very hard to make the exact same thing as someone else. I've come to realize.
one thing that I've noticed as you shared your story today is that you have such a strong sense of discipline and consistency in what you're doing, and it sounds like this has been something that's going on through your whole life. I mean, to make a sample a day for 600 days, or to do 28 songs in 1 year, that shows a level of commitment that is super impressive.
That yeah, I mean that was the I made the song "Sleep" and I realized in the lyrics like I tell you, you guys just want to hear that song?
Sure.
All right, let me. I think it was just in front of me, but I've already foiled my own plan. Let me. Yes,
I need a sample of your cat's meows.
I know.
Yeah.
Same. I'm gonna have to sample her at some point. I mean, I got to do it early. She's 8 weeks old right now, so like I got to get it now before she starts meow meow. What? She's gonna hit. This is a terrible pun. She's gonna hit puberty at some point.
Herbert.
Oh my God.
Uh, while we transition into the song, I would like to thank everyone for being here. I see a lot of my very, very good friends in the crowd. I love you all. Make sure to like and retweet the room. Tell your friends about it. Schlippen is going hard today. I'm enjoying today's space.
She's putting her claws in my head. Okay. Now, all right. Here's the song. Hopefully, the cat won't meow too much in the middle of it. She's falling down my back.
That was perfect.
I'm making all this to keep myself alive. Don't know if I'll go to sleep tonight. Rather work myself to death in due time. I won't let my people get left behind. Been 12 long years, and I'm still right here, knee deep in fear, mud in my ears. Nothing seems clear, might disappear to hide my tears from all my peers. I'm making all this to keep myself alive. Don't know if I'll go So yeah, that was the song "Sleep," and that was generally to describe what the full song was about. Was essentially the story I had told you earlier. Was like it's been about 12 years since I started making music. I was, you know, sipping some coffee real quick. I recognized I've been doing this for so long. I feel like I'm still in the same spot, but I'm still not going to give up. And there's some things I need to take care of in like my real life that will probably make my success as Schlippen or Bananas, or just success in general. You know, that doesn't mean I'm like financially successful. It just means that like I can make what I want to make as best as I can.
Another
I
thing that we talked about recently on a music based show with Baby Yours actually a couple of weeks ago was how creativity can be so helpful for mental wellness. And I think you kind of touched on that earlier in your life, and then several times as you went through your life, how this process really helped you deal with times in your life that were a little bit negative. And that coupled with the consistency, I think has really brought you where you are today. You're such a well spoken guest with who's obviously done a lot of self-reflection about your story. So would you agree with that? Creativity is a form of helping with mental wellness.
100 billion%. Yes. Like that. And I would say, like, physical exercise, as strange as that sounds, it's like I have to, like, I'm gonna maybe do a squat stream at some point because I love squatting heavy weight, and it just, when you put yourself through, I guess, voluntary stress, you can handle anything else. And so, like, taking care of your body and then taking care of your heart will help you take care of your mind as well. Because I would say that's probably where a lot of we say it's mental wellness, but it's like, I mean, is it maybe something? I mean, obviously there's physical problems that people have with the brain, but then there's also just like that feeling in your heart that bothers you more than the feeling in your head. And then I think maybe like negativity from all that can spread outwards, and then it's like, just taking care of the whole system is good. But when it comes, yeah, I would actually say, the mental wellness that I have right now is probably mostly determined by the fact that I get to express myself as much as I can. And to 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 couple with what you said previously, the discipline. I think the only reason I stayed so disciplined was because I was like, this isn't good enough. I can always do better. And it was like I'm like competing with myself essentially to like make a better song always. And it was like, I'll say this, it's almost like playing a video game. That was what I had done previously to just to, like I say, tune out and then sort of express myself. All of the effort I put into playing a video game then just turned into all the effort that I put into like making a song. And, yeah, getting it off my chest is what I told somebody. Like, they're like, what is your intention when you're making music? And I was like, getting it off my chest, man, getting it out of there.
and it's a healthy way to relieve that negative energy. I would like to welcome Los Diablos NFT to the speaker panel. Los Diablos NFT is one of our very, very good friends. How are you? Is it Baby? Is Baby yours operating
Hey,
the account right now?
yeah, it's me behind the account. Hi guys, happy Sunday.
Baby, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. I love this. I love the space. How you guys doing?
We are
Mm.
good. I was just talking about you. Did you hear me?
Yes, I did. Thanks for the shout out.
I mean, I see a lot of similarities in the stories that we have here of people kind of overcoming personal obstacles and challenges and um, finding their voice through creativity. And I like what Swiffen had to say too about how Web3 and NFTs offered him an interconnectedness with his fans and a way to reach out and touch people and really communicate with people, and how important that was. And that's a really great point about the space here, that it's not just about controlling your own career. It's really about having that one-to-one connection with people. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And what you were saying about how you put your life and your trauma and it's such a luxury, I feel, as an artist, to be able to do that every day, to just kind of think and be like, okay, what am I going through? How can I put this into my art? And I kind of like exercise it through it. It's the best thing ever.
It's a thing that like you said, it's a luxury because like some people they're just going through it and they don't even have a way of getting that out. And that was, I guess, to allude back to my stars NFT is like, let's say you want to make a song, but you just can't. You don't have the time. But okay, but you have this idea in your head, and you can hear it as best as you can. And it's like if you just get somebody who has the skill to make it for you, that's where I can come in and accomplish that. Nothing's happening. You're just meowing.
Oh, and I would like to jump in real quick, and anyone in the listeners panel that would like to come up and ask Schlippen any questions, or maybe even give some feedback, or just say hello. Just feel free to request to come up to speak, and we'll get you up here. Thank you. Uh, so while we wait for anyone that may have any questions, I'm really curious. You had mentioned with Stars that you provide access to IRL and metaverse events. Currently, for Stars, what would be the home metaverse for these events?
Okay, I was like, I had a problem there. I'm muting. Uh, I'm actually still exploring all of the options at the moment. I like really have been seeing a lot of stuff happening on Decentraland. So, I mean, I'll be testing that out with you tomorrow. If all goes well, then that seems like it would be the most helpful one.
He Schlippen just spilled the beans, everyone. Schlippen will be performing at the Beyond the NFT after party tomorrow night. So make sure to, tune in and come through and enjoy some music.
And maybe a couple cat meows if I can get her recorded. I'll just drop those samples in periodically. Just hear a
I will
meow.
buy I will buy a stars just for cat samples.
Consider it done. I'll make a. There was someone, I think it was Dubscribe. He dropped a meow mix of a version, the song called Robo Kitty, and it was just meows as the drop samples. And it's like huge bass, and then meow 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 meow. Doing that, I was like, oh wow, this is the best.
I would be in heaven. Most definitely. Oops, sorry for smacking the mic. I would definitely just be in heaven. So you're exploring the different metaverses. You're seeing Decentraland as a possible prospect. I mean, um, I of course, if you ask me, I will have to say Decentraland is ahead of the game when it comes to like the social aspect of things. Can't say too much about development, and this is just my personal opinion. Like it could use some development, but it does come with the time. We're early in this, but yet still ahead, it feels. um, and also, another question would be why the Solana blockchain? What made that be the first blockchain that you chose to display your work in?
It seemed like just the most responsible yet risk-taking thing I could do because I didn't have enough capital or any liquidity to like, you know, I could fuck around and find out on Ethereum. To be honest with you, I was like, man, this is these gas fees. They were like the gas fees on Ethereum at the time were like close to $300 at one point, and I was like, I just cannot. I cannot afford to fail a transaction. And so I started looking into all the other options, and Solana was starting to, when I was getting into it, it was around $100 or $140. Then it went up to 260, and now it's back down to 30. Like everything else is taking a pretty major hit. But that all being said, the price became kind of irrelevant for me because I could just see the amount of stuff that people were accomplishing. You want to go upstairs now? Okay.
That was the world's longest meow.
You just wait until she finds out that the door's open. Come on. Oh,
Have you thought of have you thought about exploring different blockchains? For example, on the central end, we kind of our layer one is Ethereum, but our layer two is Polygon. Our wearables and yeah, our wearables, wearable submissions, like usually those are tied to the Polygon network. So we do have artists and creators that um, do publish their work on the Polygon blockchain, which is also, a cheap way to go because like
yeah.
Polygon fees are like a penny.
I'll say this. I've actually, now that I remember, I think the first music NFT that I actually had minted was on Mint Songs, RIP. They've since closed, but the thing that I minted was, I think the two songs I had, Snow and Shapes. I minted those, and they're still on the Polygon blockchain. You can go find them on OpenSea. But I think I just want I there was something about the community of Solana. Like there's a very, very active art community, and so that was, I don't know. I've had the I'll pin the image to the top of the Litmon Lee that I made. It was another artist on the blockchain. Degen Poet made this contest for, make an image of a Pokemon that was your favorite when you were a kid, because he was making this Pokemon series. And I don't know, it was something about like how much people were interested in the competition and all those things that were, this is just sort of a reminder as to why I really like Solana, is because there was a strong art community. There wasn't a big music community that was super popular, but there was also like just a very active NFT, like PFP community as well. And so I was like, well, this can check off a bunch of blocks for me that, like, I'll be honest, I got into this stuff because I was like, I would rather make money trading pictures of monkeys than working in a warehouse, if that's a feasible thing. And then I sort of stumbled upon the fact that actually just provide all of my artwork instead of, hoping that the thing I'm buying accelerates in volume or value. And I was like, that's a better solution. And essentially, I just ended up on Solana because I had, seen its price, I had seen its movement, and like saw like, I think when it first came out, Solana was like 68 cents, and that was like in 2019. And now it's like $30, and it's hit an all-time high of like 260. So I was just like fascinated with it. Oh, another thing I was just thinking about. Since it's its own layer one, the speed of which the transactions happen and the reliability of them not failing happens like I've failed more. I had used Ethereum to trade tokens and make money that way, but like I said, the gas fees and the failure of a transaction were pretty devastating because I just didn't have nearly as much money. And also the problem with like some of the layer twos is like you have to pay a gas fee to get your stuff transferred to the layer two, but then the gas fee there is like, very minimal. And I was just like, well, let me just see what this one's all about. And, Solana, then they had Phantom. They still have it. It wasn't on mobile quite yet, but now it is. And so it's like everything that I had to do from the computer became easy to do from my phone. There's a huge spike in users and um, wallets opened for that. And then also, it's like a lot of people who were using Ethereum are transferring their money into Solana now. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep with this. And yeah, the image that's at the top there, Litmon Lee, that ended up selling like, I mean, I think there's 7 available at this point, and that it is not a music NFT. And so that was something that is, also striking to me because it's like I have a music NFT available and there's 99 editions available of that. And that being said, I made it a zero point 0.5 Solana, and the Litmon Lee is only zero point 0.1. Maybe I could just adjust the price. That would probably be a better decision. But still, it's not even just a music NFT; it's a music video NFT. I'll pin that one to the top as well. That one is like it's a pretty dark music video. It's for my song Shadows, but it's still like I think the other ones that I've been looking into are like Tezos and Near, because I've seen that those are starting to build NFT communities themselves, and I've heard that the hip hop community and the rap community and Tezos is pretty active as well. Plus, I mean personally, I guess one of my one of my problems is I will just get sort of locked into a behavior. That's that's also when you're saying discipline. It's like I have an obsessiveness about things. Like I could play a game and beat it, and then just keep playing it over and over again, trying to do like everything better, but in a different way, and so on and so forth. It's it's kind of like a gift and a curse. Like I could just become hyper obsessed with a thing, or I could become hyper passionate. However you however you word it.
Most definitely. Um, let's see. Man, I had a question lined up and then I looked away for a second. Oh,
Schlipping.
we slip, and yeah, I may have hit the catnip a little bit, just now as well. So, Tank
Hey,
Boko, you want to save me?
Yeah,
I
I
have
do.
I got my pen in my hand right now, so like we're all on the
um,
same page. We're all on the
what
same
you
beetle.
what you say about obsessiveness and passion really rings true, I think, for everybody here in the space. We are so early; it is very difficult sometimes to monetize what we do. So obsessiveness and passion, and that comes through in the discipline and consistency that we have. We need that in this space right now. We really do. So shout out to everybody out there who shows up every day, builds and creates and works with a single-minded focus like you've shown today too. We need it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's I've really only been, I think positively benefited and affected by all of the places that I've gone to in Twitter. Like I've never been in a Twitter space that left me feeling any less hopeful than I did previously. Like I don't have to be a speaker. I don't have to be the focal point of it either. I like tuning into just conversations to just hear what people have to say. And there are some things that people say in these spaces that just leave me like, wow, that was. I wish I had recorded that because that. I mean, I guess I can go back and sample them. But it's always nice to be here and, like you said, be around people. And I think one of the things too is I'm like just being thankful now that people are collecting my work. I'm not even like all that fixated on the monetization of it. I think it's like for right now we're so early. I mean, we're just planting seeds. So it's going to take a minute for the trees to grow and like give us the fruits of our labor. But once that happens, you're, however many seeds you've planted, you're going to be, rewarded tenfold.
Absolutely. It's about the process, not just about the end goal. And another thing that you said earlier that really resonated with me was kind of talking a little bit about positivity and negativity and how that kind of energy can get transferred among people. Like if you smile at someone during the day, you'll change their whole day. I really believe that. And just like you, I'm not like a super cheesy, the secret works or anything like that. But that stuff is real. You can really change. You can change people's day, and then it ripples out. It really affects things. And Web3, because of that interconnectedness you were mentioning, that's a really good point. That energy transference is happening every single day. When you like something or you comment on somebody something positively, it has a ripple effect through the whole network. It's amazing.
I mean, it's fun to think about how much you could change someone else, unintentionally. Just, if you're yourself to the best of your ability, you can encourage someone else to do the same. Because I mean, I've, I've been alive long enough now. I'm 28. I've been able to, I'm not super old, but I can like, read people. And you can just tell when someone's like you were saying, if they're just being like the cheesy person who's like smiling because they think that's what they're supposed to do, or if they are just being a genuine person and just being like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, just giving you the chill vibes that like I think that's the reason why these spaces and all this stuff is great too. We just get to like not only are you like-minded and like trying to, you know, gain some wisdom, learn something about all the technology, discover new people, but you're also just like kind of relaxed. Like it's a it's a weird medium now to be interacting with the people who are entertaining, but it is also like I mean it's like imagine if like Bill Burr did a Twitter space. You know how many people he would be? That would be amazing to see him interact with his audience. Just just the live ear beatings that he would deliver to some of the stupid things people would say to him, and like and the things that they would say back to in rebuttals. It'd be amazing.
It's a great idea. I'm going to call him.
You have him do a Decentraland set where it's his red haired or bald headed avatar. It gets really red when he starts raising the volume of his voice.
That'd be great if we could code something like that. I actually always wondered about comedy in Decentraland. Does it work when they can't pick up that vibe from the room and kind of, feel the vibe really? And maybe by kind of incorporating Twitter Spaces like this with a metaverse experience, that would make it easier.
That would be really fun to actually like to be a part of someone's comedy routine. I guess maybe if they were live streaming them on like in real life and then maybe had another stage where they were doing the avatar was mimicking their movements. You could
Yeah,
probably you could probably have two simultaneous performances happening and then see which one leaves the audience actually like laughing and interacting more.
I like how you've turned this into some kind of like science experiment now that we can
The
analyze and make some observations about.
science.
Perfect, perfect.
That's my biggest thing is like I'll like have a conversation with somebody and we'll start on one thing and then I'll be like, what if we take this very seriously for a moment and then we end up on a completely different topic. It happens to me all the time.
I, to that note, I would have to invite you to our Wednesday community building Twitter spaces. You'll see a lot of that for about maybe 3 to 5 hours.
I'm in there. I'm in it.
um, I really appreciate that you like took the time to yeah, you took the time to join us here today. Um, I just have a couple. I see that we're at the hour, and I do have a couple quick questions related to your art. I noticed that it's listed on Exchange. Is it? Yeah,
Yes.
Exchange art. Yes.
Yes.
Uh, what is the currency that you buy it in?
Solana.
Oh, it's Solana. Because when I went in there, I was like seeing some like circles and stuff. I thought the Solana symbol was like a little squiggly,
Mm,
vertical squiggly.
no, what is that? Well, I know that it's the two circles, but I'm trying to think of what the squiggly is.
I thought the squiggly was Solana. Oh well, we'll figure it out.
Gotta figure out
I
the
was
mystery squiggle.
I was looking in there. You do have like some pretty cool sketches. I mean, they're very natural. You could like I like
Those
the
were
vibe. I definitely have to scoop scum.
yeah, those were so at one point during my time when I was working in the warehouse, I was just basically told, "All right, go over to the other side of the warehouse and just find something to keep yourself busy." And I was like, uh okay. And like there's cameras over there and it's basically like you cannot be seen doing nothing. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll stand out of sight of the cameras as best as I can, and then I guess I'll start drawing because I was so bored. I was so bored. I did it for like one day, and I was like, yeah, maybe I can get on Twitter Spaces. Then the connection's not that great because you're like in the industrial district, so it's like yeah, they're like yeah, screw signal down there. It doesn't matter. And so like I just started looking around me, and I was like, I'll just start sketching stuff. And the first one I did is like of the pallet jack that we used all the time, and I was like, okay, that wasn't too hard or that bad, and it took up some time. And right around the time I finished it, we got to work and had something to do again. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was basically able to repeat that process for a while. And now I no longer work at that place, thankfully. And eventually they were like, all right, you have to just stay on this side the whole time, blah blah blah. You don't have to go back over there and help out. And I was like, okay, cool. And then you know one of the problems of working in a place like that is like that the people who are running the higher ups, they have like this complex that is just not, I don't like being around, where they were basically acting like everybody who wasn't, like I they're like you're my equal because you have the same color helmet as I. And then, to the token of that, I was like, yeah, but like 2 weeks ago, I was wearing a different color helmet. So what were you thinking about me 2 weeks ago? And it was this weird dynamic where like I always felt like a bunch of people were like judging you unconsciously in weird ways. And the like roughness of those sketches and stuff is like there was like, I'll put it this way, when I was in there wasn't really color. It was just like everything was dull. So I just used the pen and the pad because I was like, that's basically all this is really requiring, because this is not like, I mean, one my sketch 5 is literally just the trash can. But it was
Hmm.
interesting too because I was doing unconscious things like it's just it had literally had someone spray painted on it trash, so nobody would just throw this barrel away. And so I just drew it, but the way it was facing me is just sh, which is just perfect for schlipping because it's just an sh on the trash can. And I was like, yeah, that's basically a self portrait at that moment. That's how I felt, was this trash can. And I was like, there's me. And then now that I'm not there, oh my god, everything's been working out great. I've sold more editions in the past day, and then even today, I've sold a couple more. There's only 5 of the Litmon Lees left. I've sold more editions now in the past couple days than I did the entire time I was working at this job. And I think it's just because like my attitude has it just completely changed because I don't feel restricted.
Hmm. Yep.
That's the one thing that these spaces allow you to do too, is just be like unrestricted to a level that like is freeing, which I'm super grateful for. And thank you once again. I don't know if I thanked you previously, but like thank you for having me up here. This is like a beautiful use of time on a Sunday. I could be like I do on most Sundays, just lounging around, wasting some time doing nothing. But I get to like you know, it's like you were saying, Tang Poco. You were saying I'm self-reflective. It's like I feel like I'm doing that right now, but like amongst all of you, just another period that you can never do too much reflecting. I think you, you know, figuring yourself out by talking to other people about what you've been through. And then, my favorite thing too is listening in on other, this is going to be another show that I'll frequent just because I want to hear what other people have to say, because their stories are going to like sync up to mine and be different in ways that I can appreciate. And, I just wanted to say thank you.
I you're welcome, and I mean, right back at you. Thank you so much for even at like on short notice, because we kind of cross paths like kind of quickly, and I know that sometimes the way that kind of like I reached out to you could be like looked at as like one of those, oh, it's just spam, let me just ignore it. But thank you for taking the time and actually speaking to me and hearing what I had to say. um so my final question before we wrap it up is a question I like to ask to all my guests. What is Web3 culture to you?
Mm, it's something like, this is difficult because it's so early that it's hard to describe fully, but I would say it's like Web3 culture to me is the the further the furthering of cutting out the middleman, and you know yes, I saw someone just said Web3 culture is freedom, and I agree with that.
I definitely agree with the sentiment. And I mean, as we continue to develop in this Web3 space and explore new spaces within it, that's how I believe the Web3 culture develops. Like, for example, like, since I have been on Decentraland and on the metaverse, I can say that part of the Web3 culture is being the ability to be able to express yourself through your wearables and emotes on the internet, on the 3D internet. uh, and I see that DevDog has come up to speak. Would you have a question for Schlippen?
What up? Um, Hello, everyone. And hello, Schlippen. I'm very interested in music NFTs, so would like to learn more for sure. But definitely what I wanted to say about Web3 is I just think Web3 is kind of defined by open learning and kind of open sharing of information in any way. That's definitely like the defining thing for me is that anyone can learn anything from equal or from semi-equal starting grounds, and whether it be open source code or just sharing knowledge. I think that is the true beauty of Web3. So I just
No,
wanted to say
no
that.
gatekeeping, no gatekeeping. It's just like it's an open conversation. I think that's the other reason why I was like, these spaces and all these conversations and places I go to on Twitter feel like a music festival, because I don't feel like anybody's really limiting themselves because of like, well, I don't want to say that because then I gotta. It's just like, no, this is an open conversation. You can say whatever, and people aren't going to, you know, counter to like some of the normal interactions people are used to on Twitter. They're not going to break you down and make you feel lesser than, or, you know, make you feel bad. It's like you said, open. It's freedom to get that info and oopsies to, have control over the thing that you like can actually call your own. That's another thing too. And then you can just basically be like, here's this, if you guys want to use it, have fun. And people are generally going to, make their updates to it that they see fit for their own outcomes. It's the craziest thing, because before it was probably, I mean, we kind of all know how it was before. It was like, how do you even start doing this? Well, you got to find this guy who's got a bunch of money, and then he'll give you a loan to do this. And then you could start acquiring all the resources from all these other people. And then maybe it might work out. Now it's people are just like, I've got the final product. take it and run with it. I'm gonna go do some other shit. Let's see. Man, they're gone.
Most definitely. So, as we wrap up, do we, DevDog, do you have any final words that you would like to say to everyone?
Yeah, as always, so hyped to talk to everyone. I'm so thankful that we're all still here and building good projects and still connecting. And I very much still believe in the future. And thank you to Tang and Sinful, of course, for hosting the space, Schlippen for speaking. And yeah, I just hope to continue to connect and build cool stuff.
Thank you, DevDog, for coming up. And I mean, thank you for contributing. Your answer to the question was beautiful. And I feel like, as people put their definitions into words of what Web3 culture is, it helps all of us develop our definition of what Web3 culture is. Um, Schlippen, would you have any final words before we wrap up?
Uh, I guess this is just a little piece of encouragement for everybody. Don't give up. You never know what's gonna happen tomorrow, and watch where you step and don't slip.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for that one. It put a big smile on my face. Tank Poco, final thoughts?
I just again wanted to thank you for coming today. It was really great to see how you reflect on things and how you consider these spaces part of the self-reflection. I'm going to take that to heart as well. I'm always a little bit nervous doing these spaces. I'm kind of new to co-hosting, but looking at it in that way kind of makes it feel more comfortable for me. So thank you for that.
Most definitely. And for me, my final thoughts. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's amazing to be able to spend my Sunday evening, or sorry, my Sunday afternoon, with every single one of you guys. And remember, everyone, tomorrow is Monday. Monday is like Madness Day on the metaverse. So remember to tune in for Stony Eyes show at True Band Room. Make sure to hit up the ABC tour with Billy T. Coin Oddjob and CK Bubbles, as well as hit up Beyond the NFT later at 10 p.m. Eastern. Um, we will be having Ethermon. Uh, we will be interviewing Ethermon, and Schlippen will be handling the after party.
Amazing. See you all at the Dollhouse, everybody.
Yeah, hope to see some people in world tonight or today, whatever it is for you.
Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Mew mew, everyone. Here, let's throw on some music. Ooh, what's up with the sponges? Hello, toxic waifu. I love the name.
What do you guys think? Should we go help some new players? What to do? What to do? Nah, let's just enjoy some music at Dollhouse. If anyone has any music suggestions, please make sure to message me or drop it in general chat. Let me know.